Welcome to today's Explainer. We're going to be looking right under the hood of one of the most highly optimized, complex biological engines on planet Earth, the human digestive tract. Now, instead of just thinking of this as a simple input-output system, you got to realize this is an intricate chemical processing network. It is constantly working behind the scenes to convert raw matter into the exact cellular fuel that is keeping you alive right this very second. So let's dive into the sophisticated biomechanics of your food's transit, literally from that very first bite, all the way down to the end of the line. You know, it's pretty easy to assume that digestion revolves entirely around the stomach, but consider the platypus for a second. That bizarre, egg-laying, venomous mammal actually doesn't have a stomach at all. Crazy, right? Anatomically speaking, if a stomach is defined as a discrete organ with glands that produce gastric juice, well, the platypus simply skips it entirely. And this kind of challenges a common assumption we make about human biology. We tend to fixate heavily on the stomach, but digestion is actually this highly sequenced chain of events that goes way, way beyond just a single acidic pouch.
At its core, we need to establish exactly what this system is engineered to do. Digestion is just the mechanical and chemical process where your body takes raw inputs and transforms them into essential energy. Without this precise mechanism, honestly, the complex macronutrients we eat would be utterly useless. Our bodies have to systematically break down these large structural inputs, the proteins, the complex carbs, the lipids, into tiny microscopic building blocks so our individual cells can actually metabolize and use them.
To pull off this massive metabolic transformation, the digestive system executes four major biological tasks. First up, ingestion, basically taking the raw material in. Second is digestion, breaking all those biomolecules down physically and chemically. Third, we have absorption, where those extracted nutrients are pulled across barriers right into the body's cardiovascular system. And finally, elimination, expelling the residual waste. We'll use this precise four-step sequence to kind of map out our entire explainer today.
So the first phase, ingestion, kicks off instantly in your mouth. Actually, just anticipating food triggers your salivary glands. While your teeth provide the mechanical shearing to mash everything up, your saliva initiates the chemical digestion. It's packed with salivary amylase, an enzyme that immediately targets and starts dismantling complex carbs. It also lubricates everything into a cohesive little ball called a bolus. Now, when you swallow, a specialized little flap called the epiglottis blocks your airway, because nobody wants to inhale their lunch. Then peristalsis kicks in. That's a wave-like sequence of smooth muscle contractions that forcefully drives the bolus right down your esophagus.
To help visualize the brutal chemical environment waiting at the bottom of the esophagus, it really helps to use a practical mental model. Imagine dropping a handful of organic matter into a sealed bag filled with highly concentrated, super acidic lemon juice. This basic visualization perfectly represents what goes down when the relatively neutral food we just ate suddenly drops into the highly volatile reservoir of our stomach.
Because the human stomach operates a whole lot like that highly acidic enclosed environment. It's this highly elastic muscular reservoir that can actually expand to hold around 2 liters of matter. That's like a large soda bottle. And the environment inside is incredibly harsh. It uses potent gastric juices, mostly hydrochloric acid, alongside specialized enzymes like pepsin, which specifically tear protein structures apart. Now, you might be wondering, why doesn't this corrosive acid just digest the stomach itself? Well, it's all thanks to rapid cellular turnover. Specialized cells are constantly dividing and secreting a thick protective mucus layer that lines the entire organ. But here's the thing. The stomach isn't just a static holding tank full of acid. The mechanical digestion happening here is intense. The stomach walls contain 3 layers of thick, smooth muscle that execute these violent muscular contractions. They continuously churn and pummel the food, aggressively bathing the organic matter in that gastric acid. Through all this intense mechanical and chemical breakdown, what started as solid food is rapidly reduced to a volatile, highly acidic, semi-liquid compound known as chyme.
Okay, so once the chyme leaves the stomach, it passes through a little sphincter and enters the true chemical processing plant of the body, the small intestine. But it doesn't work alone. This organ relies on immediate biochemical backup from the liver, the gallbladder, and the pancreas. The liver synthesizes bile to emulsify fats, while the gallbladder stores and concentrates it. And crucially, the pancreas secretes highly alkaline digestive juices and enzymes. This specific pancreatic juice rapidly neutralizes that highly corrosive stomach acid, which stops it from severely burning the delicate intestinal lining as the chemical extraction keeps going.
Now, think about the number 20 for a second. The small intestine is an astonishing 20 feet in length.
20 feet. This immense length is a total masterpiece of biological engineering dedicated to our third major task, absorption. The entire interior surface is heavily folded and lined with millions of microscopic finger-like projections called villi. This design exponentially increases the available surface area. So as the neutralized chyme passes through, these millions of villi actively transport essential sugars, amino acids, and micronutrients directly across the cellular membrane right into your circulating bloodstream.
After that, whatever unextracted residual matter is left moves into the large intestine, or the colon. While its main mechanical job is critical water management, basically reabsorbing fluids to keep you from getting totally dehydrated, it is also a highly complex ecosystem. Welcome to the gut microbiome. Trillions of symbiotic bacteria live right here. And these microorganisms aren't just along for the ride. They actively ferment the indigestible waste, extracting trace nutrients, and they even synthesize essential biochemicals like vitamin K and certain B vitamins that our own bodies literally can't produce on their own.
Which, of course, brings us to a very well-known biological byproduct. As Dr. Laura Hart, a gastroenterologist, confirms, passing gas many times a day is a perfectly normal physiological expectation. Part of this volume simply comes from ambient air you swallow while chewing and swallowing. But a significant portion is the direct, unavoidable result of that vibrant gut microbiome we just talked about. As those trillions of bacterial colonies actively ferment the remaining organic waste, they naturally produce metabolic gases. It's actually a fundamental indicator of active biological processing. Finally, we arrive at our fourth and final task, elimination. Believe it or not, the structural integrity of the resulting waste provides direct clinical insight into the efficiency of your gastrointestinal transit times. A well-regulated system produces soft, formed waste, which tells us there was optimal water reabsorption. If intestinal motility is too rapid, the colon doesn't have enough time to extract water, resulting in watery, unformed stool, diarrhea. Conversely, if motility is abnormally slow, way too much water gets reabsorbed, leading to dense, dry output, commonly recognized as constipation. These are normal, mechanical fluctuations in a highly dynamic system.
It is absolutely crucial to acknowledge, however, that for a significant portion of the population, these fluctuations are not just minor inconveniences. The digestive system is often the site of severe chronic pathologies. Individuals managing conditions like Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, or irritable bowel syndrome exist with a gastrointestinal tract that is chronically inflamed. For them, this automated background process is a source of acute and chronic pain. These systemic conditions require intense medical management, heavy pharmacotherapy, and they can severely limit a person's ability to participate in everyday life.
Because our internal biology is entirely hidden beneath the surface, we rarely see the chronic battles people are fighting inside their own bodies every single day. An unseen, highly sensitive ecosystem like the digestive tract can be an overwhelming daily obstacle for millions of people. So as we wrap up this look into the sophisticated engineering of human digestion, I want to leave you with this thought. Knowing how fragile and easily disrupted this complex internal network can be, how can you extend just a little extra grace to someone whose unseen ecosystem might be struggling today? Stay curious, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.